the entire island was devastated, including the schools. We have had tremendous damage to windows blown out, roofs partly or fully gone, of gyms, of schools. Various school boards, of course, reported to us immediately, and we can overall say that 50 to 60% of the schools got affected. Some mild, where I said like maybe limited to windows, ceilings with flooding, to more severe damages of gyms and whole buildings that had enormous impact. I believe we made an enormous effort to reach out to the respective schools, primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary education, such as NIPA and USM. We immediately got together, like within a week, we had our first emergency meeting with all the school boards to get like a damage assessment going. Not only to the hardware in terms of the schools, but also about the status of our teachers. So that helped tremendously to get a true picture and also reiterate our point of departure to have the first classrooms and the first group of students reactivated on October 2nd, being the pre-exam and exam classes, and the entire school system with all the schools reactivated actually today, October 16th. And that was clearly communicated, consulted and discussed with the minister, and we used it as a point of departure. We brought the entire team together to look at the feasibility of those deadlines, and we made it work. And as you can see, we have to acknowledge that the schools are such a vital element to our community, to our families, that we had to indeed commit to such a date was critical, and we lived up to it. And I believe that the communities and families expressed thankfulness in order to make that happen. We have to recognize that the emergency relief and the emergency assistance and the emergency repairs were vital to that deadline of October 2nd. Because we, of course, had to ensure that we have school-safe environments and that the students will not be hampered with any type of risks. So I must recognize the fire department, VROMI, USR of the Dutch aid that was provided immediately after the storm, that has been critical and so essential to clean up debris, do the emergency repairs, also assisted by a group of contractors that assisted first. Mm-hmm. Simultaneously, we were indeed able to reach out and establish contact with the Dutch Ministry of Education immediately, because that is a natural contact of our ministry already. And they have been able to assist us with the emergency school supplies. That is not in as yet. However, we received indeed first shipments for the 3 pavilion tents, so to speak, like mobile classrooms, temporary learning spaces to those schools that were heavily affected, such as the Charles Brookson Academy, such as the Methodist Agogic Center High, such as Sint Maarten Academy. Those 3 schools were prioritized, also together with SCOS, the Marie-Laurent School, were prioritized as critical schools that required, for instance, temporary learning spaces, such as those pavilion tents. And that was the first shipment of the relief items for our schools that we received. And, of course, it is a very technical infrastructure that required preparations of the venues. The locations had to be selected. We had to ensure that we have water, electricity, septic systems also attached. And those preparations were done by the Ministry of VROMI last week. And the team of the company that was selected by the Ministry of Education, they flew in last week and now also over the weekend, because they're a team of experts of the company Intertent that has this pavilion tent infrastructure available, and they are assisting us together with the military to have that system up and running. That's the group of the Genie. We are relying on so many different priorities within the country, but they have immediately committed their assistance together with VROMI and the group of Intertent to indeed this week engage in all the preparations relevant for the 4 tents to be set up, let's say, in a period of 7 to 10 days that it will require.
No more than.
Yeah, Overall, the basic structure can be set up within 2 days, but that's only the outside structure. Then come the cooling. Then you need to establish the sanitary needs. You also need to establish electrical outlets. You need to, set it up as a classroom. That means that you have to do the partitioning as well. You need to bring in desks, chairs, all kind of other learning supplies. So that will definitely take 7 days. But within the 2 days, you, I believe, can see the first structure up at the side of the ring road by the Pondville across, the Great Sports Auditorium. And that is for the Charlotte Broxton Academy School. And that will have 6 classrooms. We know and we realize it's not enough for what they need, because they expressed, of course, a need for 8 classrooms, but it's at least a start. And we can see how the partnership that has expressed tremendously over the last couple of weeks from the various school boards, how they can continue to work in partnership to ensure that we address all the priorities and the needs so that the students can have a safe and a constructive and supportive classroom. We're in the midst of that, and of course we're not the Ministry of Education only. I would like to emphasize we are the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. We have to also pay attention to our sports and recreational facilities up and running, so important, so vital for our youth. And we're addressing all those four elements. We now are about to conclude the first emergency relief initiatives. We still expect quite some school material coming in. The Karel Doorman is returning, and that's where we're going to get the bulk of the school material that will come in. That will be, I expect to have it in by this weekend and the following week. And then you're going to see indeed a variety of digital boards, laptops, printers, extensive supplies that we need. And it's still not enough because it's still now servicing that students got affected with no school books anymore available. So those type of needs still need to be addressed. But however, so the majority of our school supplies will come in, and with that we can conclude our first phase of the immediate emergency relief. And that brings a normalcy of all the schools being able to run with an adapted curriculum, but also the mainstream normal curriculum that the students receive. And now we are starting to set up an additional team that will now focus on the midterm resilience plan. How can we ensure that our school system will not be affected as we have been affected for this extreme storm, of course. It has been an extreme situation. Nobody would have been able to probably ever prepare for this. You have to sometimes experience it, and with that ensure that you learn and adapt and mitigate the risks that we have been exposed to. And that is, as I said, for culture, monuments, for our schooling system, for all our entire sport facilities within the communities, Raoul Illich, you name it. So we have a team together, and we are now discussing our midterm priorities of how we're able to so-called build back better, as how it has been expressed. And that is an entire extensive challenge for us. It is related to resources, financial resources, of course, because if you have heavily affected schools, you have to make sure that they can build back, but we don't want to build them back in the same way. We also want to build back that we not have this negative impact for next time, because we have to prepare that indeed these type of seasons could have indeed multiple challenges similar to this season. So those matters are currently being discussed. I'm extremely grateful with the team of the ministry that we work together on these items, as I said, on culture, youth, sports and education. We can also be extremely proud of the partnership as we have established with the school boards and other stakeholders, and that will continue in the next 2 weeks. And it is our aim, and we also made that promise also to the minister, because we are working together in a national recovery plan. That's the overall national recovery plan for Sint Maarten, and that's where we want to make sure that we will make that contribution and express the vitality of this ministry for education, youth, culture and sport, and that we will make that vital contribution to give that perspective, so that the community at large knows what will and will not be feasible next year or the year to come. I mean, this recovery will take more than a year, and everybody realizes that. And so we have to make tough choices. We have to set priorities. We have to be realistic on the funds that we will be able to receive and make available, and that will take a couple of months in order to get that picture straight. We will first clarify our direction. We will do that in close consultation, and then comes the tough process to see what type of resources are there and how we can best direct them. And I really hope and would want to emphasize that indeed education, culture, youth and sport is not only the software and therefore considered on a lower priority, but that the software is sometimes the hardware, because we all expressed the importance of resilience, and resilience has to do with our capability to not only prepare for man-made or natural disasters, but also respond and adapt accordingly. So those type of things are relevant for this ministry. We really hope that the schools will have, that we will make a reconstruction a program to bring strong but still student-friendly schools, strong and still youth-friendly sport and recreational facilities that can endure for the many years to come.